Hello, I'm Nobby Clark. Welcome to my workshop. I just wanted to talk today about the various methods I've used for learning workshop practices for the amateur machinist. I guess I've learnt mostly through watching YouTube videos. There's some excellent channels out there run by ex-workshop teachers, engineers, retired engineers, and more advanced hobbyists and amateur engineers as well. I set up my workshop here just over 6 years ago. And prior to this, I had a small Unimac lathe, which I used indoors. Um, and to learn how to use the lathe, I started researching them with YouTube and uh, buying some engineering magazines sort of aimed at the amateur engineer or model railway train builders and things like this for additional information, and gradually over the years buying a few reference books as well. I wanted to show you some of the reference books that I've bought. Um, I guess really the most famous book of all is the Machinery's Handbook, which is an American publication. I think these have been in print now since, well, before the First World War. So they've been going a very, very long time. The first one I bought, I suppose, about the time that I set up my workshop here. This is the 8th edition, and it's got masses of very, very useful information in it. Just about everything you want to know about engineering. I mean, obviously, these are used, I guess, mainly by professional machinists, but they're an invaluable guide for the amateur as well. Only problem with the this edition and subsequent editions to this is that everything in them is really an imperial. So that it's fine if you want to look up tapping drill sizes for any imperial taps. This is fine. The information's there, and you see I've got lots of little tabs in the book here, so I can quickly go to various sort of useful sections of the book. This one, as I say, is the 8th edition. This was printed in 1931, so it's quite an old edition. But earlier this year, earlier last year, I found this one on eBay. Very, very lucky to find this at such a reasonable price, and including postage as well. I mean, it's quite a weighty book, so this is going to cost quite a lot of money to post out. This one is the 21st edition, and from reading the forward in it, I think this is the first one they produce with metric information in it. Obviously, they decided that they needed to do this, and obviously these books are sold, I guess, all around the world. Now, I don't know if they're done in any other languages other than English, but this one was printed in 1979, and it's in very, very nice condition. Some marks here, it's been stored on a shelf, but it's been very nicely looked after. I mean, it's even got the dust cover, although the dust cover's coming apart. I need to re-stick that down. But again, it has lots of information added to it from the one I originally bought. But this one does have all metric information in it as well. So it's a really good reference book to have. I did find some time ago, before I bought the Machinery's Handbook, this edition, was a British published book. This is published by Nunes, and it's the Engineer's Reference Book. And it's edited by F.J. Cam. This one is the second edition, printed in 1947, so it's actually a year older than me. But again, it's in imperial basically, but it has a lot of similar information to the American Machinery's Handbook. Also, I guess to help with the cost of publishing this, there are lots of adverts in it from British manufacturers. I mean, these are fascinating because they're very old adverts, and it's quite fascinating to see some of these adverts in the book. And I do like books that have old advertisements in them. It's absolutely fascinating. So again, it's a very nice reference book to have. I wanted to find books that would help me learn about workshop engineering using a lathe and a milling machine and so forth. I did buy a couple of books originally from this series, the workshop practice series. I had one on using a lathe, and somewhere I've got one on using the milling machine as well. The one on using the lathe, I did give that away when I sold my little Unimat lathe. I included that in the package when I sold it. But there's another book that was I heard as sort of highly recommended. Is this one? It's the Amateur Lathe, written by Sparry. This is quite an old book as well, but a lot of the information in it really is not going to change. Really, it's got lots of drawings and photographs and lots of very interesting information on using a lathe. And the great thing for me in this book is that the author uses a Myford lathe, which I now own, an old Myford lathe. So a lot of this applies directly to the lathe I'm using. But this is a really good book. It's packed full of information on using the lathe and using all the various tools that are available for it. So, I mean, I would highly recommend that one. Other information you need in the workshop, you're always going to need to know the tapping drill size. So I've got a couple of charts here. In the UK, we've got a tool supplier called Tracy Tools. They primarily supply taps and dies, but they do drills and all sorts of other accessories as well. And they produce a catalogue every year, which I've usually picked up at model engineering exhibitions. The catalogue is this size, and on the back cover, they've got a tapping drill size chart. It covers all the common tap and die sizes. It's a metric section, but it has imperial, coarse and fine, BA, brass taps, pipe taps, ME taps for model engineering. I do use some of those as well. So that's a very useful thing. And I've laminated this so that it doesn't get damaged in the workshop. More recently, their catalogue, again, produced this size. They put a lot more information on this chart, but because they put more information and the size of the catalogue, everything was so small I could barely read the information. So my wife very kindly scanned it and enlarged it for me and made an A4 size. Again, it is still quite small, but I can manage with it. And again, this has all the information plus a lot more information as well. These have, I've said, both I've laminated, and I use little magnetic clips on these to, as I'm in a metal workshop and I've got metal cabinets, I can stick these up on the wall of the workshop or on a cabinet, and they're always sort of to hand. I've got duplicates of all of these, so I can have some at one end of the workshop near my little desk, and others at the other end of the workshop, sort of nearer to the milling machine and the lathe. Another chart I find very useful is one that is a fractional conversion table. This gives you the fractional size, the decimal equivalent, and the millimetre equivalent as well. I mean, I find this very, very useful because I've got a bit of a mixture in the workshop. My Chinese lathe and my milling machine are both metric, and my Myford lathe is imperial. So if I'm working from perhaps a drawing that has information in metric sizes, I can use this to convert to imperial so that I can work with the dials on the Myford lathe. So this is a very, very useful chart for me. It's sort of double-sided. It covers over the larger sizes here, which I hardly ever use, but I'm using more the smaller sizes on this, again laminated so that this can be hung on the wall of the workshop. The other guides I use are guides which I guess most people in workshops have, the Zeus guides. These are nice sort of pocket-sized guides from the details on the back of all the various industries that use them. Obviously, they're very widely used professionally as well, but these give you decimal equivalent tables and all the tapping drill sizes and clearance drill sizes for all the different thread forms, and lots of other information as well. In the back, there's tons of information in these little books. And being so small, they can be slipped in your pocket. You can keep them in your workshop coat, and they're sort of handy to have with you all the time. I've got two versions: the original unified imperial version, and I found with this one I got second hand on eBay. This one I found at a car show. There was a chap there selling lots of interesting tools there, and this was on the table, and I think it's only cost about £1, something like that. So this has all the information that this one has, but also metric tap and drill sizes as well. So both versions get a lot of use. I do keep these in the workshop all the time in my one of my tool cabinets, but all the books I keep indoors. My workshop does get very damp during the winter time, and that obviously would destroy books. So I'd rather keep these indoors, and I can just bring whichever one I want to use out into the workshop as required. Other books really for sort of a bit of inspiration in the workshop. These mention these workshop practice books. There's a whole series of these, and this one is number 31, but there's a lot more books than that. These two are both by Stan Bray and on making useful workshop tools. I bought this one quite recently. It's brand new, but the people selling it listed it as being used. But when I looked at their listing, they had several copies of this, so I reckon they bought up some remained stock from somewhere, and this was much cheaper than the regular price for it. What I got this for is when I was making, if I can find it in here, I made a finger plate, and this has some information and plans on making a finger plate. So I was able to read through this and use this to help me design my own version of it. But it's got as with both of these, there's lots of different projects that you can make from these little books. Very, very useful. All the drawings and measurements are there, plus photographs. This one I've had for quite a long time. I've got two of these. That the other one I couldn't lay my hands on today, but a lot of the tools here I have made or made similar versions to the ones illustrated in the book. I've got some other books that were given to me as presents for birthdays and Christmases. This one's an American book, the Home Machinist Handbook. It is quite good. There's a lot of very useful information in it, but it is very Americanized. It's all the machines in it are all machines which are more available in America than they are in England. But with a lot of these books, if you scan through them or read through them, you're going to find some information that's going to be useful to you. So, it's well worthwhile having that one. These two other books, I think I got these about a year ago. One is called Steam Engine Design and Mechanism. This is quite a deep and complicated book, but it is packed with a lot of information on engines and engine build. And this really nice one here on making simple model steam engines, from a very, very simple engine to a slightly more complex, and making boilers as well. So again, a very, 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 very nice book with lots of photographs, drawings with all the dimensions and everything you need. Some time back, I wanted to make some gears for a project in the workshop, so I looked around for a suitable book on information on gears, and I found this one on eBay. It's called Gears and Gear Cutting, and it's again by F.J. Cam, the same gentleman that wrote or edited this book, the Nunes engineering book. But this again is quite a nice little book. It's really everything you need to know about gears, basically, and all the formula, and packed with drawings and photographs. It's a really fascinating book. If I can find it, if you can see that, what do you think of that gear? It's a massive gear here, and the man standing next to it for scale. Goodness me, that must have been a colossal task making that massive machine required to make a gear of that size. But there you go. So that's my little collection. And when I know other YouTubers have done videos before on books, reference books, and books, inspirational books on making various things in the workshop. Some of these videos I watch, people have got literally hundreds of books and a whole library of books. Well, I'm not really going to go that far. My philosophy here is just to buy books that you really need and ones that are really going to be helpful to you in the workshop. I guess the most helpful one probably is the Machinery's Handbook. There's so much information in there. It would take you months to read through a book like this. You use it purely as a reference guide, but it is so useful. Anyway, I hope this video's been of interest to you. And perhaps there's sort of little recommendations on some of the books that I've found. If there are anyone out there that's found other books like this that you think might be of use or interest to me, and do let me know in the comments, because I'm not constantly on the lookout for books on engineering, but if there were any that really would help me along the way, I would certainly look out for them. Anyway, thank you again to everyone that's subscribed to my channel. Numbers are, just steadily going up a little bit week on week. And again, also thank you very, very much to everyone that's commented on my videos and pass me on information or tips and hints on things I'm doing wrong and helping me along the way. Some subscribers to my channel are also very well-known YouTubers to everyone, and I've been able to make contact with some of these YouTubers now, and some of them are actually giving me lots of very, very useful help and guidance in the workshop. So I'm very, very grateful to these YouTubers for doing that for me. It's very, very nice. It's a wonderful community. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me in the workshop again. I hope to have another video for you very, very soon. So bye-bye for now.